Namaste. In this video, we will be covering how to solve inequalities. Solving an inequality is just like solving an equation. Your goal is to isolate the variable. So let's say that I had the equation x plus 3 equals 7. To solve for x, I would simply subtract 3 from both sides. That would end up canceling the 3 on the left side to give me a final value of 4 for x. Now, solving an inequality is no different. All I'm trying to do is subtract 3 from both sides. And instead of having an equal sign, I have an inequality. So this would end up being x is less than 4. So I hope you guys can see how closely these two processes are. If we move on to the right hand side, we see that x minus 5 equals 2. Now I would simply have to add 5 to both sides to get that x equals 7. For our inequality, I do the same. Adding 5 to both sides. Sometimes solving an equation requires division. So let's say I had the equation 2x minus 4 equals 10. How would you solve for x? I would like all of you to pause the video and give it a try. So the first step is to add 4 to both sides of the equation. By doing this, you eliminate the negative 4 from the left side. You're then left with 2x equals 14. And now, in order to solve for x, you would simply divide both sides by 2, giving you a final value of x equals 7. The process works the exact same way when you have an inequality. So in this case, I have 2x minus 4 is less than 10. I would first start off by adding 4 to both sides. This would eliminate the negative 4 from the left side and leave me with 2x is less than 14. And by dividing both sides by 2, I'm left with a final value of x is less than 7. So for this next question, we will be using the same process. I encourage all of you to pause the video and try it on your own. So remember that the first step is to try and get rid of any non-variable terms. So negative 2 would be an example. To get rid of it, I would have to add 2 to both sides. To eliminate negative 2 from the left. This gives me a new equation of 3x equals 6. And by dividing both sides by 3, I ultimately get that x equals 2. For our inequality, just repeat the same process. Add 2 to both sides to get that 3x is less than or equal to 6. Divide both sides by 3, and you get that x is less than or equal to 2. Now that we know how to solve basic inequalities, I need to introduce a very important rule. When you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip the inequality sign. All we need to do to solve the equation negative 2x equals 6 is divide both sides by negative 2. And by doing that, we ultimately get that x equals negative 3. It's as simple as that. Now, what about this inequality? If you think that we should divide both sides by negative 2, then you're correct. The first step is to do that. Now, you may be tempted to say that the final answer is x is greater than negative 3. But that is wrong. Remember that we are dividing both sides by a negative number, so the inequality sign needs to be switched. Instead of x is greater than negative 3, we would say x is less than negative 3. So here we have the equation negative 3x minus 6 equals 9. In order to solve, we simply add 6 to both sides in order to cancel out the negative 6 from the left side. Now we're left with negative 3x equals 15. To solve for x, we divide both sides by negative 3 and get that x equals negative 5. So there aren't many differences between dividing by a positive number and a negative number when we solve an equation. But when we look at an inequality, things start to change. So we go through the process by adding 6 once again, and we see that there's nothing left on the left side, and we're left with the inequality negative 3x is greater than or equal to 15. Now we divide both sides by negative 3, and here's where things get different. So we're used to rewriting this as x is greater than or equal to negative 5. But that is wrong, because we are dividing both sides by a negative number. So we need to switch the inequality sign. Instead of writing it this way, we would write it as x is less than or equal to negative 5. For this problem, we're asked to match the inequality to its correct solution. I encourage all of you to pause the video and give it a go before you view the solution. So for our first inequality, we have negative 14x is greater than negative 3. Simply divide both sides by negative 14, and we see that the right-hand side gives us a positive value, because two negatives cancel out to become positive. Remember that since we divided both sides by negative 14, our inequality sign switches position. So our final answer ends up becoming x is less than 3 over 14. So we can match our first. For our second inequality, we have that x plus 5 is less than or equal to negative 4. For this problem, simply subtract 5 from both sides, and this cancels out the 5 from the left, giving us a final inequality of x is less than or equal to negative 9. Note that I did not switch the direction of my inequality symbol because we did not divide by a negative number. So I can match this inequality to this solution. Our third inequality says that x minus 24 is greater than or equal to 9. To solve this inequality, we add 24 to both sides, which cancels out the negative 24 from the left-hand side. And this gives us a final inequality of x is greater than or equal to 33. For our final inequality, we have that 2x is less than 15. Note that 2 is a positive number, so when we divide both sides by 2, we do not need to switch the inequality sign. So we are left with a final answer of x is less than 15 over 2. To wrap up everything we have learned in this video, I have one last problem that I would like all of you to attempt. Negative 3b minus 15 is greater than negative 24. So remember that we want to try and isolate the variable b. And to do this, I would first add 15 to both sides of the inequality. Doing so cancels out the negative 15 from the left-hand side. And we're left with negative 3b is greater than negative 9. Remember, once again, that our goal is to get b on its own. So I can divide both sides by negative 3. Since 3 is negative, we need to switch the inequality symbol. So you may be tempted to write something like b is greater than 3, but that would be wrong. Instead, your answer should be b is less than 3.